There are moments in sports that defy easy explanation. They are glitches in the expected narrative of athletic competition. A foul, a missed penalty, even a red card. These are all part of the game's grammar. But every so often something happens that falls completely outside that grammar. It stops the clock. It forces everyone watching, from the casual fan to the seasoned commentator, to ask not just what happened, but why. Luis Suárez, one of the most gifted footballers of his generation, provided 3 such moments. He bit his opponents, and in doing so, he opened a fascinating and often uncomfortable conversation. The first chapter of this unusual story was written in November 2010. Luis Suárez was the star striker and captain for the Dutch club Ajax. He was playing a heated match against rival PSV Eindhoven. A confrontation broke out among several players. In the midst of the scrum, Suárez leaned in and bit PSV's Otman Bakal on the shoulder. The referee missed it, but the television cameras did not. The act was swift, almost primal. Ajax suspended him internally. The Dutch Football Association handed him a 7-match ban. The incident was bizarre, an outlier. Most thought it would be a one-time stain on an otherwise brilliant career. They were wrong. 3 years later, the behavior resurfaced on a much bigger stage, the English Premier League. In April 2013, Suárez, now at Liverpool, tangled with Chelsea's Branislav Ivanovic inside the penalty area. As they jostled, Suárez ducked his head and bit Ivanovic on the arm. Again, the on-field officials missed it in real time. Millions watching at home saw the replay. Public outcry was immediate and immense. The Football Association banned him for 10 matches. In the absence of a clear explanation, the public and media create their own. These narratives are often simple, compelling, perfectly suited for a 24-hour news cycle. The first and most pervasive myth is that Luis Suárez is simply an evil or monstrous person. This casts him as a pantomime villain. It's an easy narrative to accept, black and white. It posits that his on-field actions reflect his core character. But personality is rarely that straightforward. Many aggressive athletes are gentle off the field. Another myth, the biting was a calculated mind game, a cynical tactic to unsettle opponents. But biting is high risk, low reward. Long bans and universal condemnation outweigh any momentary gain. The acts looked impulsive and reactive, not premeditated. Less a chess move, more a circuit breaker blowing under a massive power surge. If we set aside the simple myths, what are the real possibilities? The science of human behavior offers a few plausible, though not definitive, explanations. One compelling idea: stress response and poor impulse control. In high-stakes competition, the body is flooded with adrenaline. Cortisol rises too. The brain's prefrontal cortex can become temporarily overwhelmed. It handles rational thought. It handles planning. It inhibits impulses. When overwhelmed, this can become an amygdala hijack. The reactive brain takes over. For most players, that might mean a shout or a hard foul. For Suárez, it might have triggered a more unusual, ingrained response. Second possibility: learned behavior and habit formation. Behavior can become a default under pressure. Suárez admitted to biting-related incidents as a child. That could become a conditioned response to feeling cornered, or feeling helpless during a physical confrontation. Under immense match stress, higher-level cognition can be stripped away. The brain may revert to a primitive, childlike reaction etched into neural pathways. It's not a conscious choice, but a deeply embedded reflex. While scientific theories provide a framework for understanding, they do not give us a definitive answer. The single most important takeaway from the Suárez saga is the profound limit of our knowledge when observing someone from a distance. We have the what, the video evidence of the bites, but we do not have the why. We lack the most critical pieces of the puzzle: Suárez's personal medical history, confidential psychological evaluations, his own private account of his state of mind during those incidents. Without that information, everything else is educated guesswork. It is the difference between a hypothesis and a conclusion. The rush to diagnose from afar is a modern phenomenon, amplified by social media. It feels empowering to apply a label, to feel like we have solved the puzzle of someone else's behavior. But this act is fraught with danger. A formal diagnosis is a complex medical process. When the public uses clinical terms loosely, it stigmatizes mental health conditions and spreads misinformation. It reduces a complex human being to a simplistic and often inaccurate tag, which helps no one and can cause significant harm to the individual and to public understanding. Fairness to Luis Suárez does not mean condoning his actions. The bites were wrong, and he was rightly punished by the governing bodies of his sport. The rules of football must be upheld. However, fairness does mean separating the act from the unproven explanation. It means acknowledging that his actions were unacceptable on the field, while also resisting the urge to declare him a monster, or to diagnose him with a condition we know nothing about. In the end, the story of Luis Suárez's bites is a lesson in intellectual humility. It shows us that some events, especially those involving the strange complexities of the human brain under pressure, may remain partially mysterious. We can analyze the facts, we can explore the scientific possibilities, and we can debunk the myths. But we must also be comfortable with saying, we don't know for sure. The ultimate truth of why he did it is known only to Suárez, and perhaps the professionals he may have consulted. For the rest of us, it remains a powerful reminder that what we see is not always the full story.